Okay, now, Sowore yesterday went all the way to meet with Raya, the Corp girl, the NYSC Corp, who cried out that Tinubu is a terrible president. Hi, that word there. That word go long. Tinubu is a terrible president. And the whole video, everything about the girl have went viral. The social media right now is on fire. The mainstream medias is on fire. The mainstream articles is on fire. All because of that statement from this particular girl. Tinubu, you are a terrible president. Now, more or less already come out again. Come arise. Come break am down. Why you dey beside this girl? How Tinubu regime is the worst regime ever. Make una listen to what Omoyele already have to say.
Some political figures are speaking out in support of the NYSC core member, Uche Ugwuamaye, whose video criticizing Nigeria's spiraling cost of living has garnered widespread attention online. Well, a day after her video went viral, Ugwuamaye posted another video claiming some officials of the National Youth Service Corps threatened her over the comments she made. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar describes Ugwuamaye as a courageous lady who should be supported instead of being vilified. In a post on X, Atiku commended her for her unwavering advocacy in the political sphere and her fearless resolve to speak truth to power.
Well, in the meantime, former presidential candidate Peter Obi says her experience highlights a troubling trend in Nigeria, where voices of reason and truth are met with intimidation rather than dialogue. He says he has also been subjected to threats for daring to offer constructive suggestions and comments.
Meanwhile, rights activist Omoyele Sowore accompanied the core member to the NYSC office in Lagos today following her summons over her comment. Let's cross live to our Lagos studios and speak to Mr. Sowore for more on that visit. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. And that's a perfect place to begin. You accompanied her today to the Secretariat, I believe it was. What was your objective or aim? Was it to get clarification from the NYSC, or was it for her safety? And did you get any clarification from the NYSC?
We accompanied her because we heard very late last night that she was summoned, and the summon did not include any explanation as to why she was summoned or what she did wrong. So yeah, we did, because we've seen threats against her. We've seen people calling her names, shaming her. And we decided that for her safety, for clarification, and for the public to know what she did wrong, we should accompany her. That's why we went there. And when we arrived there, the person who invited her had not showed up at work at 10:30 a.m. She was supposed to be there at 10 o'clock. And we waited for about an hour. Nobody showed up. Apparently, they absconded. They didn't wait for us, and they never showed up. So when we waited, we got her on the phone, and she said she was at the State Secretariat and that she should wait. We waited a little bit longer and called her back, and several times, because we were accompanied with about 3 lawyers, myself, the Youth Corps member who was invited, and she never picked her phone, and we just left, leaving her a message to feel free to call us back when they are willing and ready to discuss what she did wrong.
You know, Omoyele Sowore, I mean, this is interesting because it's happening against the backdrop of, I mean, only last week, President Tinubu set up the Youth Confab Committee, you know, to put together a plan where young Nigerians will come out and, you know, speak truth to power, if you like, or just bear their minds on issues affecting their lives. The president actually went ahead to say, look me in the eye, you young Nigerians, and tell me what you want, and I will do it. How does this play out? How does this stand side by side with what has happened with Ms. Ugwuamaye?
You know, there's a difference between their interest in people speaking truth to power and the charade that they are planning. There's no regime in recent history that's victimized young people like the Tinubu regime. You saw what they did to underage kids who were charged for treason last year. I mean, was it 2024 after the August protests? You saw what they're doing with the Cybercrime Act, victimizing, arresting, harassing young people. And they have a whole army of influencers who harass, who cancel out people who are opposed to the president or his policies. And that's exactly what happened to this young lady. So the youth conference that they set up a committee for is not a conference for young people. It's a conference for the Association of Friends of the President and his son, I would think.
Mr. Sowore, in responding to my question, you kept referring to her. Yeah, you called her, she told you to wait a bit longer. Who is the her? Because as we know it, the NYSC has not officially responded to this matter, but we do know that Ugwuamaye had a recording of a phone call with a female official. We don't know who that is.
Allegedly an NYSC official.
Yes. Do you have any clarification as to who this woman is and who is the her you're referring to? And let me also ask you, because some argue that core members as participants in a government-run scheme, such as the Youth Service Corps, should refrain from political commentary as indicated in the NYSC bylaw of 2011 as amended. How do you respond to those who say this is just not about free speech, but discipline within the NYSC structure?
Well, let me state that the lady who was the local government inspector for, the person who was the local government inspector, the LGI who invited her, is a female, but we never met her. They said she has a deputy. We also met the lady who apparently called her on the phone and lambasted her and threatened her. But we opted not to engage with her because by the time we got there, she was very sober. I think they realized what they were up against. So there was no point. We focused on the business of the which was to meet the LGI, the local government inspector of the NYC, who we believe absconded because she knew that this was not going to be a very nice Monday. Then, with regards to the discipline they're talking about in the NYC, there's no point of the NYC Act that says that Nigerians cannot complain if they are facing hardship. President Tinubu had announced that corpers are supposed to receive 77,000 naira per month after he increased salaries of workers, even though that is peonage, it's too small. But these corpers are still receiving 33,000 naira a month. To claim that there's one NYC act or discipline that says you can't complain, you can't say that things are terrible, it's just, as you know, an attempt to silence her. The NYC Act, which is a decree promulgated in 1973 and amended by several military people, cannot supersede what is known universally as the right to free speech. She's expressing herself freely as guaranteed by international instruments. I don't generally like to refer to the Nigerian Constitution because that's an illegitimate document promulgated by the military. And that's not the people's document. I've always said that on your shows. But, she has her fundamental rights to complain. And you can't, as is normally said in Nigeria's general parlance, that you can't beat a baby up and ask the baby not to cry, or pinch a baby and not allow her to cry. So there's no NYC Act. I will tell you that the NYC itself makes provision for political enlightenment groups as part of their community service. I don't know if they still exist, but when I was in NYC, I did participate in political enlightenment of the populace. NYC group, NYC members are allowed to go and conduct elections. During 2000 and I think it was 2001 or so, they were killed in the line of duty. So people who can die for your country during elections are not good enough to speak when they are facing hardship. I don't know what kind of discipline they're talking about. I went through the NYC 1995-96. My NYC certificate was never given to me for political reasons. But when I took them to court in Lagos, they couldn't come up with any reason. They just said, well, I've not exhausted the opportunities provided for me to address the issues internally. Until today, I never got an NYC certificate.
Wow, that's interesting to know. That would now lead me to ask, you know, do you think that Ms. Ugumaye may just be, you know, victimized the way that you allege you were? And, you know, secondly, there seems to be a growing trend where young Nigerians are beginning to, you know, wear the toga of activists. I mean, you have this lady and a number of other young Nigerians who've been speaking out. With this situation with Uguamaye, do you think that their voices may be somewhat muffled, or will this give more oxygen to them and, you know, boldness for them to speak out and speak up?
I don't, if anybody tried to muffle her voice, they failed spectacularly. I have seen videos already this evening of some other NYC kids making bold declarations about the socio-political condition of Nigeria. I remember when we were younger, before I went to the university, there's a guy named Bamdele Atru, now late. He refused to shake hands with a military governor. He said, we need democracy, and then, you know, they arrested him. But this service, the national service, is not a personal service to a president or a governor. It's national service. And this young lady is doing the real national service we need at this time. She's raising her voice on behalf of millions of Nigerians who are frustrated, who are dejected, and who have been debased by the current regime. That's real national service.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Of course, we have to let you go now. But I spoke earlier with one of the aides, you know, to the president, who actually compares the NYSC to the military, where, you know, there's this NYSC oath of allegiance where they're not supposed to speak against, you know, Nigeria. What do you say to that in 30 seconds, if you can?
You know, we are not under military rule anymore. So if there was a military oath of allegiance, they have no place under civilian rule. And that is why we fought against the military. But I must confess to you there's been tremendous pressure on her. Her senators are calling, they are threatening her, they are offering her all kinds of opportunities if she can just go away. But, you know, as I said earlier this evening on Twitter, they're trying to close the barn's door after the horse has bolted. It's too late now.
And I mean, what's the next step? What's the next step for her? I've just seen a story, her apologizing to Lagos residents, particularly the Aborigines, for calling their state smelling. But what's the next step for her? What's the next step you're taking?
She didn't really apologize to anybody. If you read what she wrote, and I hope she can stand up to every pressure that's come her way, but she's intelligently just said, look, you know, if you felt offended that, you know, I spoke against your place of birth, I apologize if it offends you personally, but, you know, Lagos smells.
All right, we'll have to leave it there.
I didn't find Lagos to be...
Well,
now, Sowore radio talk. Wait to be your own take. Put it on the comment section and join us every day, 7 p.m. Nigerian time on our live broadcast. Let's interact together. Take care and bye for now.